The second that spring rolls around, I feel like I am on my worst behavior wanting to buy everything. Now that we're starting to get a little tease of spring, it's like 65 in New York today. I know it's fake spring, but I'm very pleased with it. Now that it's starting to feel like spring, I want to buy everything. I'm like, oh, should I redo my whole wardrobe? Should I redo my home? Redecorate everything? And I have to actively talk myself down. So we're going to do it together today. I want to talk about all the things I'm not going to be buying this spring, and we'll round the video out with the things that I'm probably going to be buying, that I'm thinking about buying. Because here's the thing, I'm not against buying stuff, but I am against impulse buying junk or things that you don't need or aren't going to be using long term. We're going to kind of do this mental exercise today where I walk you through why I'm going to avoid certain purchases and then the ones that do make sense for me to buy this spring. I'm less tempted by makeup right now, I will say. However, I think inevitably once spring comes around, I'm really into spring colors everywhere. I'm like, oh, should I go buy a pastel purple eyeshadow palette? Even though I know myself and 99% of the time my makeup looks like this. Like I can tell you, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've worn a colorful eyeshadow in the past 6 months. It's like 3. And I have eyeshadows to reach for when I am feeling that urge. Like I have these colors, I don't need to go out and buy more. Even though it's so tempting and alluring this time of year, like, oh my gosh, should I go buy new purple eyeshadow? But I know myself, and realistically, I will not reach for that. Similarly, that bleeds over into number 2, which is also color related, and it is bright spring colors that I will not wear. Okay, spring rolls around and every store everywhere has a ton of bright pastel colors. And I love to look at pastel colors. I'm attracted to pastels. I don't like wearing pastels. I rarely wear them. I love more earthy tones, or actually not even necessarily earthy tones, but like warmer tones. I love a really bold orange, a really bright red. Like brighter shades are very much my taste and less pastels. Even though I love pastels, and like when spring rolls around, I really am just like pining after them. Like, oh, should I go buy this butter yellow dress? But I don't like butter yellow and I know I'm not going to wear that, even though spring is trying to convince me that I will. And to zoom in even further, I want to talk about some spring trends that I keep seeing people talk about that I'm going to be opting out of. And the first one is a clutch purse. I'm seeing a lot of people mention that clutches are going to be really big from spring moving into the rest of the year. And visually, I love a clutch purse. I think it's a really cool look. There is something very chic about just holding it under your arm. But for me, that is not a practical purse. That is something I'm going to hate and avoid using because of that. Like when I think of my purse collection, the purses that I have that are less practical rarely get worn. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I think there's still a time and a place for just like a fun, funky purse in my collection. But if that's what I'm looking for, like I already have funky purses. I could be using those. I don't think a clutch fits into my life. And I was especially thinking about this because I got brunch with my friend the other day and she walked in with a clutch. In her scenario, she was actually renting the clutch from Vivrel. So she mentioned that. She was like, thank goodness I'm just renting this, because if I actually purchased this, I don't think I would wear it. So now having it for like a week or two, I get to have fun styling it, but it made me realize I would not actually enjoy having a clutch purse because it's so annoying having to just like hold it under my arm. I will also say, if you are feeling the clutch trend and the clutch vibes, a lot of your purses probably could be converted into a clutch. Certainly not all of them, but I would play around. Maybe you can tuck the handle in. I've done that before. Some bags even have a removable handle. Like there is a possibility that you can get a clutch type look without actually going out and buying into this trend. One side of my head was styled with a $550 hot tool and the other side was styled with a tool that is less than a third of the price. If you guessed that this was the expensive side and this was the affordable side, you would be correct. I'm so excited to be working with Dreamy again today. This is their Air Sweet Styler, and I said in a recent video that I think most of us have more hot tools than we need and you really can complete a look with just a few key tools, and this is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. You don't need an entire drawer of hot tools. These different attachments will serve every function and like every different hairstyle that you're looking to achieve. The Air Styler Suite comes with 4 attachments. You have a fast dryer, which I like to use first when I'm just kind of like rough drying my hair. Then you have my favorite and most used, the auto wrap barrels. These are great because they'll just kind of pick up the hair for you. It's very effortless. And then you have a volumizing round brush. You can create a lot of looks with this. You can do your hair straight. You can get more of a blowout look. Or one thing I like to do after I've done my curls with the auto wrap barrel, then I like like to do one more pass with the round volumizing brush to give it that really like lush blown out look. I've also said I feel like a big part of styling does come down to your haircut and your hair texture. So for comparison, I'm gonna show you how my hair looked styling it with this tool back when I had long hair. So you can kind of see the differences now that I have a very short layered haircut. The AirStyle Suite includes the most frequently used attachments at a more affordable price than the AirStyle Pro. Thank you to Dreamy for working with me again on today's video, and there will be a link to the AirStyle Suite in the description box below. Another spring trend I'm staying out of, which again I wouldn't say is even necessarily a spring exclusive trend. I think it's just a general direction and a wave we've been going, but I think it's going to get bigger and bigger starting in the spring, is the big retro glasses. And this is funny because I do remember when I was a teen, like in high school, these were super popular. I was a big fan. I remember having massive glasses. And as we know, things just swing back and forth between extremes. We had big glasses trending for a while, and then in recent years, the glasses have gone very, very tiny, very, very small. I like the look of big glasses. I think it's very cute, and it can look really fun and intentional and just add a really bold pop. Like I've been seeing a ton of people out and about styling these glasses, and every time I look and I think, oh, you look really cool. The reason it's not for me, it's not as much my taste, and I also have a very small head. I don't know how much you can tell on camera. My head is quite small, and this is a problem I run into with glasses often. They look extra big, and I don't think that has to be a problem. I think there's a way you can lean into it and style it and make it cool and make it even like a function of the outfit that like the head is small, the glasses are big. Like there could be something cool and intentional there. That being said, it's just not a trend for me. I like the glasses that I have. I will say I do have a kind of big pair of glasses that I wear all the time. I'll insert a photo because I'm sure I have a million photos because I'm wearing these glasses 99% of the time, and they are quite big. But this is about as big as I would go. This is the max for me. Similarly, under spring trends, I'm going to put in lace or lace trim details. And I will say I love lace, and you will certainly catch me wearing my lace pieces this spring because I have plenty of them. But the reason I wanted to include this on the list is I know it's very trendy at the moment, and I'm confident lace will continue to grow in popularity. And I want to put out the reminder that lace, especially from like a fast fashion brand, doesn't always have a long life. Very quickly, it can get snagged, it can start to look bad, it can look a little bit tattered. Now, of course, this can be mitigated by buying better produced pieces, but I wanted to put this out there when I'm seeing everyone say, oh, this spring is gonna be all about lace and like having a little lace camisole stick out of the bottom. If you are just going to like random fast fashion website, typing in lace trim tank top, like don't be surprised when you only get a couple wears out of that and it starts to look bad. What I would say, if you did like this look and you want to play around with it, these are some of the easiest pieces to thrift. I'm a huge thrifter. Most of my wardrobe is thrifted. I'm very proud of that. I would say like 80% of my wardrobe was purchased secondhand. And I do have a lot of lacy tanks. Like you can certainly find these at the thrift store. So overall, I'll be skipping that one in spring. And then a general thing that I will be skipping that I think is just always a good reminder, seasonal decor. Okay, this again, so tempting. Spring comes around. I'm like, should I redo my entire home to look pastel and reflect the season? Should I get little like Easter bunnies and put them around my house? Like maybe reel it back. You've seen the memes of like landfill core. Like that's what I think of when I'm walking up and down TJ Maxx with like the seasonal decor. I would say even similar to lace, if you were looking for some really cute spring decor, the thrift store is a great place to find something like that. But I'll also just say, we don't have to change our decor seasonally. If you love it and it brings you joy, that's a different scenario, but it's certainly not a must, okay? But let's talk about what I am going to be buying. I have a couple on my list that I've really thought out that are things I've been wanting to purchase for a little while now, and I'll kind of give you my reasoning so we can work through these together. Some are bigger purchases, some are smaller. Let me start with a very small purchase. This is like a couple of dollars. It's something it's been on my list for a while. I'm like, next time I'm at the craft store, next time I'm out, I'm going to get some dye. Okay, so I have this vision. I have a few pieces in my wardrobe that I haven't really worn in a long time because I've realized I don't really like the color. And so my solution is that I'm going to dye them to a color that I do like. I'm debating between orange and red. Those are probably my two favorite colors to wear. And one thing I will say, a benefit to dyeing your clothes is that you can then have clothes in colors that are harder to find. As someone whose favorite color is orange, my favorite color to wear is orange, it's so hard to find orange clothes. So my solution, I'm gonna dye my clothes orange. I've used RIT dye before to do like tie-dye and certain things like that, but I haven't fully, I don't think, dyed something like this yet. So if you have experience dyeing clothing, I welcome your tips down below for myself and for others. I'll probably try to film this as like an Instagram reel or something. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'll put my handle on the screen. I'll probably try to share it there. I have a few pieces that will probably become either red or orange in the next few months. The second thing I'm going to be buying this spring is a little table that is going to cover the litter box. Okay, so long story short, I live in a small New York apartment and the litter box is always a challenge. It doesn't fit in the bathroom. And I recently changed where it's at and I want like a new home for it that is kind of discreet but still gives Tilly her space. So the solution that I've come up with, and I know they make like litter box furniture and that's a great answer to this, but I want to find a really cute kind of like small end table type of look, and then I want to put a skirt around it. I don't know if I'm going to make the skirt myself or buy the skirt, but here's some examples of what I'm picturing. And I think this is nice because of course it can function as some additional storage, which again, always a need in a small apartment like this, but it's also functional because it's going to hide the litter box. So I've been looking for this. I haven't yet decided if it's something I'm going to buy brand new or secondhand. I'm probably going to buy it secondhand. I've been perusing Facebook Marketplace. I haven't found quite the right piece. I need something that's very specific because it needs to be tall enough that she can like go under there. Whereas a lot of these tables, like they come down too low. So once I find the right dimensions, that's going to be it. Number 3 that I'm going to be buying this spring, I want to buy some nice yarn. I'm really big into crocheting. Just to brag, I'll share my 2 most recent pieces I finished. I made this sweater and these shorts actually out of random scrap yarn. I've been trying to work through my scrap yarn, do different projects to use up what I have. And I've been crocheting for quite a few years now, and I'm trying to really challenge myself and step it up a bit. And I would like to make a piece with some nicer yarn and invest into some yarn that's a bit more expensive than what I have typically reached for in the past. And I will just say generally, relating to the sweater that I just shared, making that or just making my own clothing in general through crochet really altered the way I look at clothing. You know, like I said, most of my wardrobe is secondhand. I already view clothing as like a very long-term investment. Like I'm buying something, I'm bringing it in very intentionally. However, putting that sweater together, and I will say like the sweater that I made, it was a very simple piece. Like it's a very beginner-friendly piece. It's literally 4 granny squares sewn together. It's a quick project. It works up quickly. Like in the grand scheme of what I could be crocheting sweater-wise, like it was not that difficult. And yet there's so many steps, still so time-consuming, even though it is a relatively quick piece to make compared to some others that I could have. And yet all of the steps, everything coming together gave me a new appreciation for a piece of clothing. And it's something I think we subconsciously know, like, yeah, clothing like takes a lot to make. Clothing involves a lot of steps, but physically doing it, making all the individual pieces, blocking them, which if you don't crochet or knit, that means like getting it wet or steaming it to reshape it a little bit, blocking it, sewing it together. I blocked it again. Like there were just many steps involved. And it was a good reminder that a piece of clothing has gone through many hands. Like a lot of hours of work go into something. And I know a lot of us are conditioned to view it as more disposable, but making the piece myself from the yarn to the sweater was a good refresher. Okay, but another one that I think I'm gonna buy this spring, it's been on my interest list, is like Y2K athleisure. Definitely very trendy and popular at the moment. I wanted to include this one specifically because I feel like this can help us answer the question of like when to play with a trend or when to avoid it. And for me, yes, this is trendy in the moment, but I look at a lot of these looks and I ask myself, would I still want to wear this even if it was no longer in and cool? And the answer is yes. Like I would describe a lot of my style inspiration as Y2K. That era is very much my style. So to kind of answer the question of, you know, when could it make sense to opt in and play with a trend? I think the main question is, will I still like this when it's no longer trendy? 2, does it fit in with my style already? And a good question to ask yourself to determine that is, if I bought just one piece, would I be able to put an outfit together? If I buy this one piece, will I have to buy a second piece to create an outfit? That is the question I often use to determine whether something is actually my style or not. Because so often I might see a piece out and think, oh, that's cute. But do I have anything in my wardrobe that I would style it with? No, then maybe it's not my style. If I have to buy like 3 more things to make it work, probably wasn't my style to begin with. And kind of filtering this trend through those questions, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled next time I'm thrifting for some Y2K athleisure. I hope you enjoyed this exercise today. I feel like it's a good reminder to kind of think through what you might be tempted to purchase right now and ask yourself if it's something that'll make sense for you to bring into your life long term. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you to Dreamy for sponsoring this one, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.